Yes.
Taste? Yes, mahalo.
Aha, big mahalo to you. Thank you. You got the terminology down. Wishing you
I'm trying. I listen to Brother Israel,
wow.
who's who I always think of him because I had an actual genuine Hawaiian person say Brother Israel. So I try to stay up on the culture, but you know, everybody wants to be in Hawaii. You guys are literally called paradise day in and day out. And I plan to give the audience on October, let's
Eight,
go with 10th. What is it?
18th is it's Hawaii Theater, October
It's
18th.
the 18th.
Yep, kathygriffin.net. They can get the show and ticket info and learn just what a amazing, courageous, and very funny person you are.
Oh my God, you're so nice. So I got the date wrong. It's October 18th. What the hell am I thinking? And thank you for saying such nice things about me being courageous and what have you. It's been a hell of a few years, and that's why I call the show the Kathy Griffin My Life on the PTSD List tour, because I actually talk about PTSD and all the ways that we can, and I feel must be able to laugh at ourselves.
No, it's very true, and I don't think people may realize you haven't done a tour like this in 6 years, and the name, not just to play on the TV series, but talk about, I mean, the biggest challenge, obviously, lung cancer. And, I mean, how does a
Yeah.
person, I guess the question is, and it's a serious one, but I'm sure you can make light of it yourself. How does a person who does not smoke get that and then need the removal
Okay.
of half a lung?
Uh, First of all, call it the luck of the Irish. But it was my first question. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Out of all the cancers, I get the one that usually people associate with smoking. I've never had a cigarette, never was a smoker. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story that you're going to think I'm making up, but I'm not. So first of all, I'm 63 years young, and I'm not saying this is the only reason, but you have to understand what a different time it was. When I was a little kid, we used to have this thing called the DDT truck, which was pesticides. And when it would come through our neighborhood, it had this white billowy smoke, and
Oh,
all the parents would yell, "Hey kids, the DDT truck is here," and we would run behind it and yell, and I quote, "It's like I'm dancing in a cloud."
oh boy.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right. So you asked me how I got it without smoking, and I'm thinking, I don't know, maybe thinking pesticides are a cloud was a start. I
right.
mean, it could have been anything. Could have been eating McDonald's every day when I was a kid, but it was probably something incredibly toxic that I was just way used to.
Wow. Well, that kind of behavior. I mean, just hearing that is I guess that an answer to that question. But
It's like I'm in a cloud.
I don't even believe it, but I do because that's what kids do. I mean, kids huff and glue, and everything else the kids do that is kind of irresponsible. But the My Life on the PTSD list also has this other aspect, which is I'm fascinated by, and forgive me for not knowing as much about, but being investigated by the government and leaving you on the no-fly list, unable to work, and the Pamster, your person turned me on to it. Tell us a little bit about that actual story.
Okay, well, look, thing that started my few bad years, which I promised to turn into comedy in Honolulu, is that it started with when I infamously took a picture of myself holding up a Halloween mask of Donald Trump and made it look all bloody with ketchup, and it was like a Medusa and Perseus takeoff, where the woman is holding his head, and I had a very stoic look on my face. You can look up the photo; it's been tweeted and reposted many, many times.
I remember it
So
now. Now that you're talking about
yeah,
it.
remember?
Yep,
So
yep.
I'm that girl. I'm that girl. And I thought everybody would know that I was just kidding around. I purposely had like a very stoic look on my face and wore a high bow blue shirt and this whole thing. So anyway, I have had my run-ins with, how shall I say, the former administration. In other words, I hate that psycho Donald Trump. And so I felt like people weren't taking him seriously enough regarding what a fascist he is and how dangerous he actually turned out to be. And so I thought when I took this photo, I'm telling you, I thought this thing will live on a gay blog for 2 days and it'll go away. Well, it was sold to TMZ, which used to be run by, but now stars a guy named Harvey Levin,
Oh
who's
yeah.
a gay guy who's a Trumper, which I could never figure out. Anyway, Harvey Levin and the White House actually coordinated. I filed a FOIA on this, a Freedom of Information Act, and they coordinated on how to take that photo and put it into a meme and send it everywhere from Moscow to North Korea to all of our adversaries. But it was my own countrymen that turned on me. And so the Trump actually got two agencies within the Department of Justice. Now, remember, this is the feds, like the same people that went and got Diddy.
Right.
That was the people that I was dealing with. And I'm not putting myself in their class. But when I think, the great George Carlin and the great Jane Fonda and the great Lenny Bruce, even they were only hassled by local PD. I had the Department of Justice trying to gather information so they could actually charge me with the crime of conspiracy to assassinate the President of the United States, which holds a lifetime sentence. So they put me on the no-fly list. I was in the middle of a 50-city tour at the time, and the following 25 cities that I'd not done got canceled within 72 hours because the Trump administration was able to convince so many Americans that I was a member of ISIS. I know. And I was a 57-year-old redhead that usually does jokes about the freaking Kardashians.
Right.
And now I'm on the no-fly list. I was on the Interpol list. And I was also on something called the Five Eyes list, which is the terror watch list. And so, I went through something that, like it or not, is historic. And then after that, and I talked all about this in the show, and I make fun of every part of it,
Right.
I became addicted to prescription pills. Now I'm in recovery. Then I got diagnosed with lung cancer. They took out half my left lung, and I'm a 1.5 lung wonder. And now I'm going through a divorce at my age, which I can't believe. So if you have a single uncle, send him my way.
Yeah.
And I'm determined to make it all funny. So I get to be back on the road because as much as Hollywood is still nervous about me because of that controversy, the good thing is as long as people buy tickets,
Right.
and they're actually buying tickets in Honolulu, even the president who's pissed off at you can't stop you from making a living. So thank God I can tour for the first time in 6.5 years.
Oh, it's huge, and this is a person who's been a fixture in so many folks' lives at the with the New Year's thing with Anderson Cooper, and in so many ways.
Oh, I got fired from that. I got canned.
I know. That was a 10-year run, huh?
10 years I did that. When it started, it was 90 minutes, and by the time I got fired, it was already up to 4.5 hours. I loved that job. And you know what? They told me via the ticker. Like, nobody even called me, dude. I was just at home, and I'm looking at the ticker, and it's like, Kathy Griffin accused of terror, blah, 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 attempting to... And I'm just reading this like, wait, what? You're a news organization. It was such an insane time. By the way, I actually made a whole movie about it called Kathy Griffin, A Hell of a Story, and it got the best reviews of my career, but nobody would distribute it. So it's for free on Amazon. Check it out. Have a laugh.
Yeah, and at Kathy's site, kathygriffin.net, you can get much more about her Hawaii show on October 18th, plus lots of cool stuff. When you talk about coming back to the road after, and am I all right for time for a few minutes? Or are you, I just don't want to screw this up with your time.
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay, cool. Just double check. So,
Thanks.
Coming back to the road, you're a really... not to be too serious, just for a second. I mean, you're a very inspirational person to many people because of facing this stuff that you went through, especially the cancer, and returning.
Oh, thanks.
And you're welcome. And I mean it. And I'm sure that many people would insist that something like that gets said to you. But thinking about returning to the road and doing this stand-up bit. Now, I was looking at Pam's email and. When it lists some of these epic venues that you've done this at, and I just want to make sure I have it right. It lists Madison Square Garden, and does that mean that you stood out there by yourself on a stage?
Yeah, hold on. It's the theater inside the Garden, which is, I think,
the Felt
6,000.
Felt Forum thing.
Yes. And so I have played that room many times.
Got it.
I can't sell it now ever since I got in trouble with the Trump thing.
Okay.
But I did get to play that room. And I do get to play Carnegie Hall on October 26th. And
Right.
I'm stoked about that.
Yeah. I'm going to mention that in just 1 second. I'm not diminishing that. I just I'm glad I asked. So it wasn't the actual MSG. It was that very cool place.
It wasn't where the Knicks play.
Right.
It was they have a theater within that building, but it's still pretty baller.
Yeah, I know it. I've been to MSG many times. I grew up outside of Philly, so I've seen gazillion, many times in there. But anyway, so you've done the Sydney Opera House. That's a standing there by yourself bit, I'm assuming.
Standing there, I don't have an opener. I write all my material, unlike some other people that have specials that are currently on television that are new. If I can be bitter. No, I love writing all my own stuff. I sometimes accidentally go over 2 hours, so I'm going to try to stay to 2 hours in Honolulu because I know you guys have lives, but I get excited and there's a feedback that happens with the audience, and I don't mean like I go up to them and bother them and go, where are you from? Are you from Queens? I'm from Normal Parents. Like, I feel like my audience should just be able to relax. I know crowd work is a big thing, but I'm not playing clubs. I'm playing theaters. And so I want people to feel like, okay, whatever's going on in my life, I can trust my good pal Kathy, and I want them to feel like I'm their best friend or their funniest relative in the living room, and it's personal, and the show has a couple serious moments, but then I dig my way out of them. And honestly, I want every kind of laugh. I want what's called the gay gasp, where you say something so shocking that you just hear gay guys go, oh! Or I want the bachelorette party that feels guilty for laughing because I said something so heinous, which is kind of like oh. And, of course, I just want a good old-fashioned belly laugh, or I'll take a giggle. So, I'm lucky. I get a lot of repeat business because I change my material. I'm in the Guinness Book of World Records.
I know.
For having written and produced and starred in the most televised, streamed TV stand-up specials of all time, more than any male or female living or dead.
Here's another one. This will be our last question for you.
But I just want to say that because people still think chicks aren't funny.
No,
and so I break these records because I hope the young girls know that it's still a battle for us.
Here's one of those. That's what I wanted to wrap on. So your show, you mentioned it, Carnegie Hall, is coming up on Kathy's tour. It is going to break the record for the number of shows at Carnegie Hall by a solo female comedian previously set by the late, great Joan Rivers. Any cool Joan Rivers stories you can share? Do you know?
Oh, my God, too many for a day, but, she was my good friend and my mentor, and I can't even stop. First of all, she was the nicest person you'd ever meet, and I hate it when people say she was mean, and I'm just like, well, then you didn't get it. And one of the great expressions she would say to me all the time is we used to swap stories all the time over this executive that was grab-assed or this executive that was insulting about our looks. Or we had a lot of stories like that in common.
Sure.
And she would just say, look, we all make our own deals. If you can work around these guys and do the work you want, if you have to eat crap and give them credit and tell them it was their idea, fine. Tell them and we used to laugh. But, she was also an amazing businesswoman. And when she died, she had $140 million.
Whoa.
And I always loved that about her, is that she was rare in our business. She got in the ground floor of QVC. And let me tell you, that is serious money. But God love her. She would do a small club for nothing. I mean, literally the night before she passed away, she went in New York and she went to a little theater and she got up for free.
Wow.
And just did some time. And that's an artist. That's somebody who really loves it. And I just loved her, and I miss her so much.
What a great tribute then to her, that's who you're breaking the number of shows at Carnegie Hall.
She'd be so pissed. She'd be so mad. Look at you, you whore. You dirty whore. I don't care. Please get back on your knees. She would just have me laughing so hard and be vicious, but I loved her.
It is Kathy Griffin, and still totally on fire. My life on the PTSD list. It's coming to the Hawaii Theater on October 18th. KathyGriffin.net. You can get show and ticket info. You know, I never interviewed you before this, but I did get to meet you once. You were I was producing a show in Boston for Charles Laquadera. You came as a morning show guest, and I'll never forget. You're this little tiny woman, and you were playing one of those comedy clubs that, got to be careful how I say it, had sort of like connections, Boston-style connections, and they brought this massive security guard to be with you, just to do a radio show with us, you know, in the Prudential Tower, in this giant sky.
But that's how those guys are. They're Sopranos all the way. I'm sure they gave me a security guard that would look like a linebacker. And, you know, yeah, some of it, honey, I've been around a long time. I may have played a few clubs where you had to know a guy if you wanted to get out of there alive.
That's what I mean. It was funny. He was as big as everybody in the room and he just stood there like a tree throughout and then we had to do IDs with you, and I had to bring you in the next room, and he just comes in, he just waddles in behind you. It was just, you don't forget stuff like that.
Oh, the poor guy. Now I feel bad for him. I mean, there was nothing to protect. I probably put him in my act and everything.
It was funny stuff. I look forward to seeing you when you come to town. Yeah, fun?
I hope you do.
Was this okay?
Yeah. I love it. And come say hi backstage.
Oh, that's nice. I certainly will. You be safe.
Okay, honey. I hope I see you there.
Sending you lots of love. High fives.
You too.